Welcome to this episode of Home is Here. Thank you so much for joining us. I am your host, Fisiani Sinyama. Home is Here is a program that is focused on the different countries that make up Manitoba's cultural diversity. We will be learning about the different cultures, their food, their indigenous games, as well as learning from stories that have helped shape individuals, families, as well as communities. To help us with that, we have David and Kerri Faye in the studio. But first, did you know? Belize. Belize was the site of several Mayan city-states until their decline at the end of the first millennium AD. Territorial disputes between the UK and Guatemala delayed the independence of Belize until 1981. With a population of just over 350,000 people, Belize is located in Central America bordering the Caribbean Sea between Guatemala and Mexico. The climate is tropical, very hot and humid, and the rainy season is from May to November, and the dry season from February to May. The terrain is flat and swampy with low mountains in the south. English is the official language. I am joined here now by David and Kerri. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks a lot for having us.
Yes, so David, you're from Belize, and
Correct.
Kerri, you're Canadian.
Yes.
So this is gonna be exciting because I wanna know how you guys actually do it, like with two different cultures, right? And they are very different, I assume.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with David then. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I moved to Canada from Belize 12 years ago. Good thing was it wasn't summer, because I think if it was midwinter, I don't know if I would have stayed.
I hear you.
It was nice, very long, like long days. I loved them, like summer long days.
Yeah.
You know, 9 o'clock and still light out. In Belize, it was 6 o'clock. It's dark, pitch dark.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I really loved about it.
I totally agree with that. When I came to Canada, I remember that day. It was in February, and it was minus 48 with the wind chill. I stepped out of the airport terminal, and I felt like my ears were falling off. It was that cold. I stepped right back in, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, what am I doing here?" So I totally relate.
I'm surprised you're still here, because I don't think I would have stayed if I came here in February.
Oh, you're here now. It's because of her. I'm here now
that's
because
true.
of him.
There you go. They roped us in, right?
Yeah. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you do here in Canada.
I own a construction company.
Yeah?
Heavy construction, excavation, demolition, and hauling.
Oh, nice.
So it's been what I've been doing
Did
since
you
I
start it from scratch?
I started from scratch, yeah.
Fantastic.
I worked for a few construction companies before, like at first when I came here, and then I had the itch to go on my own. Growing up, the business has always been in our family.
Yeah.
I started operating very shortly after I started walking, I think, pretty young anyway. so it's in my blood, I guess.
Well, that's wonderful. That's really good that you came and you started something for yourself, and hopefully your kids will pick it up, and it's a big family business.
Well, at this point, our little 3-year-old boy is right in there, loves machines.
I bet he loves the tracks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
He can't get enough of that. He loves being on the machine.
That's wonderful. Okay, so I would like to learn a little bit about how families interact in Belize.
Well, it would usually be immediate family,
Yeah.
and then uncles and aunts and
Yeah.
cousins and nieces and nephews,
Yeah.
which I've got endless
Huge.
amounts of. Like, I don't even know how many. Well, nieces and nephews a little bit closer, but but uncles and aunts, and usually we would get together like over holidays. And usually we would have my mom's side, my dad's side gathering, and lots of food.
Number-wise, how many would there be?
Oh,
roughly.
I'd take a guess, but probably easy about 60 to 80 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is just amazing. So Kerri, how about you? Like your family, do you come from a big family? Do you come from a small family?
I'm the fourth child. So
big family.
For Canada, I was always asked, "Oh man, why do you have so many kids in your family?" So for Canada, 4 is a good number.
Yeah.
I have 2 sisters and a brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you raise your kids with girly chores, or do you raise your kids with boy chores, or like how do you do that?
The oldest is a boy,
Uh-huh.
and because Dad is into heavy equipment, boys are into heavy equipment.
Yeah.
Everything has to do with machines, loaders, track loaders, everything. So of course the girl, they're only 16 months apart, so she follows
She wants
her
to
brother.
be in the
Oh yeah,
trucks.
so she's in the trucks, she's driving machines.
Yeah.
It's all about machines in our house. Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna have to talk about status. So, and I'm saying this not to mean that any parent is less than the other parent, but just in terms of hierarchy and how things work in a home. In Belize, who would hold the most status, like in the home?
Usually it was dad.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, and I would say in our house was probably a little bit overboard in a sense. That dad's word was
Final.
and but yeah, I would say overall, but mom obviously played a big role overall in the home. Like she was
In keeping it together, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, my mom worked like endlessly, almost 24 hours a day. Well, not quite 24 hours a day, but like I come from a family of 11 kids, and
Wow.
and yeah, she
was on her feet
she's
a
my
lot.
hero. Let's put it that way.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
wonderful. Wow.
So she was a busy lady.
In fact, when you say homemade, I was thinking about this a little while ago. When I was a kid, I heard of a family that would buy their bread at the store, and I thought that was absolutely crazy. Like, who buys their bread at the store? Like, who doesn't make their own
everything
bread?
was
right?
made. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That is really cool. So your mom made you guys bread, and all you ever knew was
bread.
you make it at home.
Their noodles, everything was made from scratch.
The
That is-
only thing that we would get canned, so to say, once in a while, if we'd go with dad for a drive, and like, you know, maybe an hour out of our community and stuff like that, he would often buy us those little cans of sausages.
Don't tell mommy type of thing.
Yeah, well, I think so. And crackers, and that was a treat with dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still does it. With our son, he'll go out and buy him a can of wieners, and I'm going, why?
And she's grossed out by it, which I think they're
And
so
it's their
good.
treat.
Yeah,
It's a
I love it.
tradition. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about it takes a village to raise a child. So this statement, I know it from back home, Africa, and I have seen it actually on some of the City of Winnipeg buses. And I just want to know if, like, does it ring any bells in you? Like, do you relate to it? How do you look at that?
Yeah, I would say one thing that we took pride in as a community, because I grew up on a Mennonite community, was that they always called it a Christian community, which which is not really true, but I would say a vast majority of the people in the community are believers, are Christians.
Christians, okay.
Although very religious,
Okay.
that we came out of, but it kind of, I think it forms kind of a safe environment, yet you still have to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
But as far as going to school, I was never aware of that you had to be watch out for bad people picking you up or anything like that until later years. Then there was a little bit of that going on. Outsiders came in and tried to kidnap and stuff like that a couple times. But other than that, like I never had a second thought about walking, a mile down the road to visit other friends or whatever.
Okay, so I'm going to hold this thought. Kerri, I'm going to come to you about it takes a village to raise a child. But first I want to talk about, you said you grew up in a Mennonite community. So how did that relate, Mennonite in Belize? Like, how did that work?
That's an interesting question, because the Mennonites are I would say very different in a way, but very agricultural.
Yes.
In fact, a large portion, if not almost all, of agricultural production is all done by Mennonites.
That is interesting.
Like the growing of the grains, the chickens, like some of the Belizean staple that we'll talk about later. I was looking at it yesterday going, I would bet about at least 90 to 95% of that is produced by the Mennonites in Belize.
That is
And
very interesting.
so it was always viewed as the Mennonites being hardworking. We started working from really young. In fact, I know it was on the radio sometimes, like, oh my goodness, I saw, a kid driving a tractor. Like I started driving tractor, I think when I was about 5.
Yeah.
And then as that progressed, start full-time working at 15, running machines and dozers and stuff like that. So everybody knew that the Mennonites were uniquely different.
Yeah.
But still, I think they kind of integrated with the rest of the culture.
Rest of the community.
It depends who you talk to, right? Some would more than others, accept more than others. But I think it's coming to that more and more over time.
Kerri, your take on it takes a village to raise a child.
Well, I think that family has a lot to do with helping out, especially for babysitting, to do errands or go on dates. Family is very important, that you can drop your children off to grandma, you can drop your children off to aunt, or they can come over in the evening to babysit. For them also to discipline. Your children sometimes listen better to somebody else.
That is very true. Yeah. That's interesting. Well, we have more coming up. We have food, so please don't go away. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us again. We do have Kerri and David Fair telling us a little bit about Belize. In each and every culture, there are things that are very important and there are things that are not so important. So David, I want us to talk social etiquette. A few things that come to mind to you when we talk social etiquette. Can you tell us a little bit about that in Belize?
Well, one thing in our community was with the dress code, and that was more, I guess, a Mennonite thing, and it was believed to be based on the Bible, which I think was taken too far. And some of that is emerging over time as well. They're seeing that, hey, some things are not as important as we deemed it to be. But dress code was a big thing. Like, you don't, for female, you don't go out with, showing too much cleavage or showing too much. You got to be dressed well, like that.
So no short skirts, can't do those short shorts,
no.
Short shorts.
No, it was skirts below the knees.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then another thing that was very common as far as visiting, we would sometimes on a Sunday afternoon just get on the truck, my parents, the kids, and just drive and let's go to so-and-so's house. No phone call, nothing, just go there. And also when you showed up at somebody's place, here usually you go and you ring on the doorbell. Out there, it was always, if you heard somebody coming onto your yard, you go out automatically and you welcome them. They would not come out of the vehicle until you came and said hello and welcome here.
That is interesting, and I'm laughing because it's the same in my culture too. Like, I remember when I came to Canada, and I think it was Kerri, I went to her place and just show up, and then I learned, you don't do that here. You actually have to make appointments because people might not be there. And I would be right in her backyard and say, I'm in the neighborhood, are you at home? Because it's like, I'm trying. I'm getting there. I'm learning, right?
He still does. Even to this day, he'll just be out for a drive and, let's just go stop at so-and-so's house. I'm like, maybe just send them a quick text. Let's just make sure they're there and they're okay. And
at least you've got somebody to balance you. You're better than my situation.
I enjoy that. Like, and I know, you have to give people notice and they want to make everything look nice and presentable, but it's like, whatever, it's life. So
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
You live the way you live.
Yeah, exactly. We don't mind.
So for things like making appointments before you meet people and going to greet people at the door when they come in, is this something that you guys are doing, showing your kids, trying to teach your kids, or?
You know what? I think that has kind of changed a bit here, especially with different seasons of the year, like when it's really cold out and stuff like that. Usually
you're not going to walk out there to go welcome somebody at the car. Come on in, buddy.
I think some of those things I have more adapted to this culture where, if they come ring the doorbell, okay, hi, welcome in, it's just automatically I've kind of adapted with the different seasons and stuff. So I don't think that that's something that But when we go back out to visit, that's probably what the kids will see, that, hey, if somebody
Yes.
comes and
This is
we
what
go
you
out
do.
and say hello, welcome them in, give them food. That was usually part of it.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. So, Kerri, this will be a yes or no answer for you.
Okay.
Are there things that you've seen or learned, because I know you've been to Belize, right?
Yeah.
That you've seen in the culture that you've liked and that you've decided to bring into your home and adapt? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah?
There are a
Can
few
you tell us
things.
a little bit about that?
A little bit more of homemade,
Yes.
making some bread or some buns. His mom has shown me how to cook a few of the foods that she grew up making, and
Yeah.
I really do enjoy baking and making some of their cultural foods.
if I can comment on that, she's actually very good at making quite a bit of the food that my mom makes.
She's probably
Like,
proud
that's
of you, eh?
not only the Belizean food, but also the Mennonite food, like different soups. Like there's a chicken noodle soup that is made in a certain way in the Mennonite culture, and even amongst us Mennonites, I find that it tastes different. And my mom's obviously is always the best, and I would say hers is like the same. Pretty much, like
She
right there,
trained
like
me. She
like-
showed me
That
step by
is
step and
very
trained me
good.
how to make.
But that is
And-
wonderful. I like that you have that interest, to incorporate this culture, because your kids have two cultures, right?
Right,
Yeah.
they
And
do.
I think it is important that
They learn both.
they learn both.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about religion. I know you touched it, and you came to Canada, and religion was a big part of it. So when you came to Canada, then I guess you went into Springs, and you went into Springs College. And so did you become involved there when you got married? Like, do you both go to Springs?
Yes, we do.
Yeah?
Yes, we both go to Springs, and when you ask me that question, it's kind of I'm thinking how I can tell this in a short version, because
Yeah.
that to me is a very big deal.
Yeah.
Back when I was still in
We need the
Belize-
short version.
Yeah, short version. Okay. Long story short, back in Belize, a year prior to that, I came to Canada to help with the potato harvest. I had a motorcycle accident,
Okay.
and I was supposed to be never normal again.
Oh,
Brain
wow.
injury, and so I was very depressed for a while.
I believe it.
I almost ended up committing suicide over that, but God carried me through. But through that all, we started experiencing what I call freedom. Like, although we grew up as Christian, but it was very religious, a lot of rules, and
Yes.
and not the type of
Relationship with God.
Yeah, what I believe Christianity should be, which is John 10:10 says, "I've come that you might have life and life more abundantly." So through that all, we had heard about Springs. We got some of their teachings,
Yeah.
and that's how I became interested in coming to visit Springs, and I got healed through that process. We
That
received a
is
miracle.
fantastic.
And so then I came for the potato harvest. Coming to see Springs was one of my biggest things on the list.
Oh
So I
my
came to see,
goodness.
and then decided to come here for Springs College,
Yeah.
and became very involved.
So it's a big
Just love
part
it.
of your life.
Oh, it's everything.
And did you guys meet at Springs?
We met at Springs. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
wonderful. That is wonderful. Well, let's talk a little bit about community. So the week is done, kids are at home. How does it go in Belize? Like, what do they do? What do kids do? Are they playing on the streets? Are they in community centers? What do they usually do for recreation?
Usually playing at home. Like,
Yeah.
most people there live on acreages, so
Okay.
so anywhere from 50 acres to a couple hundred acres at farms that they live on. So it's usually playing outside, and depending what age group. Once they get older, then some of them get motorbikes and this and that. But young kids usually playing at home.
That's nice.
On the yard.
I can just see a summery day, the sun is shining, the kids are playing and running around. Makes me want to go to Belize.
See, I noticed different than what he sees, because the adults work 6 days a week, and there's only Sunday off. And so
So they work Saturdays.
they work
full
Saturdays,
days.
full days. Yeah. And kids do a lot of chores, not like they do here. You know, kids have a couple in-house chores, but they all live on acreages, so there's a lot of lawn to cut.
Yes.
There's cattle to feed, there's chickens to feed,
Yeah.
there's a lot of outdoor work to be done. Yeah.
So you do your chores and then you go play.
Yeah.
You don't do it the other way around.
No, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that. We will be coming back right after this. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are talking Belize today, and we have Kerri and David helping us to unveil that culture. We're going to be talking weddings, and weddings are important whichever culture you're coming from. So David, I want you to tell us a little bit about how you do weddings in Belize.
Well, first of all, if somebody was getting married, it was a fairly small community, big in land size, but about 700 people. It used to be everybody is automatically invited.
Oh, really?
But a wedding there, the cost of a wedding, that's something that boggled my mind when I came here, the amount of money people spend on weddings. Because a wedding out there, and this is now years ago, but I remember one of my older siblings getting married. I think it cost about $250.
That is it. Okay, when you compare it to the Canadian wedding, like I just want to laugh right now.
250 doesn't even get you a dress.
Exactly.
But it was the dress was sewn. Like everybody would sew their own dresses, or somebody in the community would sew it. And then the food was more basic. It was sandwiches or tacos or soup, mostly homemade.
Yeah, nothing fancy, just
no, I mean,
community getting
decor.
together.
So I know one thing that was very trendy for a while. My siblings started it was they'd go into the bush and get these big tree leaves. They call corozo leaves, and they would decorate everything with or a lot of it with that, and add some stuff. But you didn't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars in decor. Like it was right there in our backyard.
So have things changed now, or is it pretty much almost
They have
there?
changed. They have emerged more. I'm sure they cost more now, and they're a little more fancier in certain groups in the community.
Yeah.
But still nowhere comparison to what we spend. I mean, I got married 5 years ago, and I won't tell nobody how much we spent.
I won't be asking either, lest you ask me.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Kerri, tell us a little bit about your experience when you went to Belize. Like, how did you find the place?
Well, it's beautiful. Everything there is beautiful.
Yeah.
Things that are a little bit different, things I'm not used to, like snakes, spiders, jaguars, howler monkeys in the bushes that sound like something is being murdered in the bush. It is a very different experience.
Can't sleep.
Yeah. To see some 10-year-old boys see some poisonous snakes on the grounds, go grab the machete out of the shop, cut their heads off, dispose of it so nobody gets bit.
Without running to mommy or daddy, come take care of this. No.
Shouldn't somebody be with them? Shouldn't an adult go with them? This is not for children, but they're used to it. They've grown up in it. They understand what's happening.
Yeah. That is interesting. But you see, what I like is actually your take on it. That's what they've grown up with.
Right.
They understand it probably better than an adult that is not from the place.
It better than me.
Yeah, so if they asked Auntie Kerri to come take care of it, Auntie Kerri will probably not be going there.
I wouldn't even know how to approach a snake or a tarantula on the ground. I would just run.
That is wonderful. And so, David, are these things that you just learn by observing when you are young, or like are you taught at a certain point how to deal with things like that?
I would say we just learn it growing up. Like for me, I never thought Belize as like in the bush to be dangerous. When she came, she's like, oh my goodness, snakes and scorpions, and I'm like, I don't know. You watch where you walk, and something's there. Like, okay, snakes, if they're poisonous, you kill them. Like, I don't know. It's just part of life. Like, it wasn't to us. It wasn't dangerous.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, we will still be coming back, and we're still talking food right after this. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are learning a little bit about Belize, and we have David and Kerri helping us with that. Right now we're talking food. So what do we have here, guys? This looks absolutely yummy.
This is traditional rice and beans and chicken that the Belizeans eat.
Okay.
The chicken is what they call a stewed chicken. So it's mixed with some spices, garlic, onion, herbs. We have some sample here of some ricado. It's a local spice made in Mexico and Belize. You add all the ingredients into the oven, bake your chicken for about an hour, and that becomes your stewed chicken.
Wow.
We have coleslaw to go with it,
Yeah.
so it is...
Just backing up on the chicken, what's very important is that you add enough liquid that you have a gravy, and the gravy that comes from that normally will be put on whatever dish you eat with it, which in this case, the main staple being rice and beans and chicken.
Okay.
You would put the gravy on that.
So the spices and the liquid that you add kind of make
become the gravy.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you can even add a little bit of water if you need to, but when you put all that spice and your onions and everything else, that creates the gravy.
That looks yummy. And then over here we have rice. This is rice.
The rice and beans.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's pre-made beans. So we've soaked the beans, boiled them, drained them, and then with the rice we've added coconut oil to your pan, and then you fry some onions in it. You add your rice and you fry your rice for about 20 minutes. Then you add your water to it and you add your beans and then let your rice cook.
Wow, this looks fantastic, and I really can't wait to dig into this. But right after this. Welcome back. We're just getting ready to dig into this beautiful meal that you see here. And we've talked a little bit about it. If you want to learn more about it, please be sure to visit our website and our Facebook page, Home is Here. So you guys, I'm ready to dig into this. And so is there a particular order you eat it in, or?
Not really. I think you just dig in.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting with the chicken.
Yes,
I will too.
Wow. Are you guys thinking of opening a restaurant sometime soon?
This meal you can actually get, instead of like a hot dog cart here in Canada, they have these carts in Belize on the streets.
Wow.
It's a rice and beans
So you can
and
actually
chicken.
get it on like a street food.
It's a street food, yeah, to go. You can get it in restaurants and you can also get it just in a vendor on the street.
Wow. This is absolutely amazing. And you said you did add coconut oil to the rice, right?
Yes, we fried the rice for about 20 minutes with some onions before we added the water and the beans. Yeah.
I can definitely taste the coconut oil, and it's really good. This is so different from like what you would get in...
This coconut oil is made in Belize.
Oh. Glorious Belize.
Yeah, it's Glorious Belize. It's actually virgin coconut oil, extra virgin, like it's cold pressed. You'll find sometimes when you buy coconut oil, not all of them are cold pressed, so they're not as healthy as this one. So now normally when we go back, we'll load up our suitcases with these.
I bet then there's an abundance of coconuts then, right?
There is lots of coconuts. And before they started this, there actually was a lot of coconuts that people would just leave to rot because they didn't really use them. But with this, they've really
capitalized on that. Yeah.
And the like you can buy coconut oil here as well, but the price is like a fraction of, and it's good.
And that's good.
Yeah,
of course it's good. It's from Belize. It should be good. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Join us again next week for an all-new episode of Home is Here.